Hey, it's Tia Carrere, and you're listening to Kino Kingdom with Britt
and Lazlo
and Rupert. Party on, guys.
Thank you, Tia Carrere. I also forgot to say to the other guys on the podcast as well that that Tia Carrere intro that Utah Smith paid for us, I actually cut the end off because after she says, welcome to Kinkin with Britt and Rupert, party on, guys, there's then a 10-minute, really explicit love story that she said that was directed at me using very personal information, but I've cut that off. I'll keep that for the 200th episode. But yeah, we're back with episode 112. It's been a little while for various reasons, but we found out this week about the death. I think it was within the same week, the deaths of Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa and Udo Kier. We've mentioned those men on this podcast a lot, so we're going to do a little sort of obituary sort of section next episode. But Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa, I brought it up before. He's involved in my favorite bit of IMDb trivia, where it says that he, on a game show, successfully selected a 23-year-old Russian bride. Like it would be a challenge, like she was in a pickup machine, and he's like, "Oh, bargain!" Yeah. So that always.
I guess it depends what the other options were.
Yeah.
It could have been like a 90-year-old woman or something as the
accidentally.
Not that there's anything wrong with
90-year-old housewife from Hull.
Yeah. Tracy, 60, Bolton. Yeah, we've all read Reader's Wives back to busted back. There was really depressing, grainy pictures taken of their wife while they're drunk as well. Yeah. It wasn't ideal, was it?
No, it was slim pickings back then. What have you found in a hedge, really?
What have you found in a hedge that's been thrown out of a train window, isn't it? A train toilet cubicle. But yeah, it was not like now you can just go on the internet and type in people hacking me to death with hammers.com. And it pops. Someone mentioned rotten.com the other day. What an unpleasant site that was.
Is that still going?
No, apparently not.
Unpleasant.
It was just teenagers being
education, wasn't it?
It was an education that I didn't wish to take part in. Hence why I'm thick.
It was quite unpleasant. For those who don't know, rotten.com, it was what was it, autopsy photos and stuff like that, wasn't it?
And people who've been in horrendous accidents. I don't want to see that.
No. Swallowed by a snake or something.
Bloody hell, that'll be a way to go, wouldn't it? Swallowed by someone dressed as Snake Plissken. I've got 5 films. If you woke up in the middle of the night and then you just do a lighter fleck at the end of your bed, and there's someone dressed as Snake Plissken standing there smoking enigmatically, and you've said, "Oh, you're not going to eat me, are you?" You'd say, "No, I'm going to kill you." You're like, "Oh, okay."
Shoot you with this ridiculously modded gun.
Yeah, not the gun in Terminator, where it's more like mods and add-ons than a gun itself. Like the mechanism that fires a boulet out the front. You probably didn't know they were pronounced boulet. It's a French word. If you don't look it up. So
I like that when they in the films where they stick a laser sight on a flamethrower or something ridiculous.
Laser sight on a flamethrower.
You're in the future if there's a laser sight attached to the gun.
What was that? What was it in Alien Invaders with Billy D. Williams, where the lasers were POV shots, but they were slower than bullets?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't a good film.
Oh, okay. That's
weird.
weird.
Say the lasers probably go at the speed of light.
And didn't the spaceship have sort of rack shelving like you'd get in a standard warehouse?
Almost like.
Careful now.
It was filmed in a proper studio set.
Yeah.
And not in the Peacock's warehouse on Treforest Industrial Estate. So I mean, I've got a few films to go through, a few 2-minutes, but I know you two have a plethora of movies to get through. So do one of you want to jump in?
Yes.
Well, don't be too greedy.
I know.
Yeah, right.
I know.
Okay, this is a movie podcast.
Here.
Oh no.
I can talk about a cinema film.
You don't want to step on Lazlo's size 5. So. A movie like a cinema film.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zootropolis 2 is a kids' film.
Oh,
Zootropolis
yes.
2. or to give it its superior US title, Zootopia 2. Apparently, the reason behind this, by the way, is there's a zoo in Denmark called Zootopia. So Disney just blanket rebranded the film in Europe. Seems fair.
I'm surprised. Like usually they just sue whoever, even if they got there
Exactly.
100 years before, they just sue them
the
into
Danish
oblivion.
government or something.
Is that how they deal with things?
Zootopia is a better name.
It is a better name, and it makes
it's a bit of a pun as well. Yeah, it's more fun. Yeah.
Anyway, this sequel, it comes nearly 10 years after the original, which was a detective thriller, literally dressed in sheep's clothing, depicting a city of sentient animals struggling to get along and not eat each other, basically. And it followed a character called Hops, who was Zootopia's first rabbit cop, who befriended a roguish fox called Nick.
I really like that film, yeah.
And uncovered a murderous conspiracy. This one starts a week after Hops and Nick are partners, and their good reputation is quickly tarnished as they attempt to uncover an even bigger conspiracy concerning the founding family of Zootopia, the Linksley family, who, of course, yes, lynxes. And they are prejudiced against reptiles, who are treated as this marginalized underclass, and they intend to expand the city and effectively wipe them out. So Hops and Nick's task is to reveal the truth about the city's true founders and release the city from the monopoly of this Linksley family dynasty. And I think what worked about the first film and what works in this one is that the underlying conspiracy story is interesting enough that you could just have a regular movie without talking animals and it would still be interesting. And it's the same here. And this is the kind of like local government corruption you find in like Chinatown or Bosch or something, except it's a Disney movie with talking animals. And I would say both films are more suited to older children, perhaps. The plot is quite complex and it is dialogue heavy, but it's also quite full on generally, because there's some genuinely like tense moments of peril in this, like when Nick the Fox is stuck outside this bulkhead and he's seconds away from being burned alive, or a scene where Hops and Nick are escaping a collapsing building and she has to decide whether to save herself or potentially die with him, or the scene where they're swimming through this water pipe and running out of air, and it's like really full on. My son, who's 5, found it very enthralling but also pretty intense, and there's some really amazing sequences in this, like where they visit this swampy reptile town and it's just brilliant and genuinely weird. I actually lolled out loud at the moment where they're asked to eat live worms as a show of respect to the like gang boss there. That was very amusing. So the plot beats kind of mostly mirror the first movie, which isn't ideal. But for example, like when there's a nice character turns up quite early on and you just know they're going to turn out to be a baddie, it's pretty obvious. But overall, I'd say it's on par with its predecessor. There is a sense of familiarity to it, but I think the quality of the set pieces is generally higher. But yeah, I would say it's not one for very young kids, but yeah, I think it's as good as the first one.
That's really good to hear.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good to hear, because I really liked the first one. It was one of those films probably when my son was quite young, pretty much too young for it, but just looked at the colours on screen, and I remember really enjoying it. And I think I watched it again of my own volition straight afterwards. Boom.
It's got
no,
that,
I
like
didn't. But yeah,
Roger
so
Rabbit
when I found
esque kind of.
for God's sake.
Sorry. It's got that like Roger Rabbit kind of. Oh. Are we having tech problems again?
Oh no, you just said it's like Roger Rabbit, then stop talking. I thought you were going to say something else.
Oh, I thought, okay. I think there was a lag. Anyway, It's a bit like Roger Rabbit in the sort of noir stuff for the adults, but with all the colourful, cartoony stuff for the kids. I remember enjoying the first one.
Yeah, because it's actually like a good story, regardless of whatever the kind of funky visuals are. Oh, we have lost Lazlo.
Have we? There were more technical issues, ladies and gentlemen. but now we've mastered them. So yes, Lazlo, what have you watched apart from women passing by to deliver things to your house, as you look at them from your dirty shed window, and you know that you're not going to answer the door because you're in your shed and thus can't answer your door.
Other than that,
I watched Mickey 17, but weeks ago. This is how long it takes to get through the list. So I'm scrabbling now to remember what it was about. Have either of you watched this film with
no,
Robert
it's
Pattinson?
one of those movies where I can never find myself in the mood.
I've heard of it, if that helps, and I know I like Robert Pattinson, but yeah, I don't know where this is streaming. It's never popped up for me to sort of fancy it.
Yeah, I think I rented it. This was months ago, but I think it's on Now TV now. Anyway, so Robert Pattinson stars in this science fiction sort of comedy satire. And he plays Mickey, who is like a lowly space laborer who volunteered for a program where you do all the really dangerous shit on a spaceship traveling long distances, and they clone you. So if every time you die, they just spawn a new one of you and inject your recent memories back in. So he is the one who has to go out there and do that kind of patching on the ship when there's radiation that's going to kill you. So starts off with a series of comedic scenes of him being killed in horrible ways and then just waking up again and yawning and starting again. And I think he's the 17th copy, I'm going to say, based on the title. And it primarily revolves around him being the 17th copy of him being left for dead in a ravine, and then on an alien planet, and then the bugs who they think are going to eat him alive rescue him instead, and he returns to the ship where he finds Mickey 18 has already been spawned, and they're not allowed to have two of them in existence at the same time, so they kind of have to team up. Well, they kind of want to kill one another, and then they just kind of team up to hide the fact that there's two of them, and so on. And it's basically the same plot as Moon, but considerably more expensive and quite a bit longer.
But better, you didn't use the word better then?
No, it's not better. I mean, it's more lavish. There is a lot of funny stuff in it, and it's by the guy who did Parasite, Bong Joon-ho, and Snowpiercer and other things. So he knows how to put a film together, but it's quite overblown. I don't know why they spent all this money on this. I guess it's just the Parasite hype. Although he did make things in between this and Parasite. Anyway, I think it cost something like 150 million, and it didn't make anywhere near that. And you just watch it thinking, this is lavish for the sake of being lavish.
Is that to say that it could have been done considerably cheaper?
Yes, I would say so. Because there's enormous CGI set pieces and stuff that you ultimately aren't really moving things forward, or could just be simpler. They're not really the draw. You're not here for an action film. You're here for a quirky kind of satire comedy in space. So yes.
Lazlo, as an industry insider, can you explain to us why that would happen? So you got this script, which could be shot for 30 million. Why would they throw 100 million at it? Why wouldn't they say, look, this is, it's been done before much cheaper, so why don't we...
It's because I think it's because it has been that Moon is that version of this film. So they've, I think also, I mean, he's just got some clout. I don't know if he's going to have the same clout now. Yeah, and it is funny, and it does move at a good pace until the last half an hour, where it's got this sort of, again, justifying the price tag. Big CG sequences with aliens on this planet and running around, and people going back and forth, and you're going, just wrap it up. This is not amusing enough. This is not exciting. Just knock it on the head. We kind of got the point, but then it has to have scenes of people sort of falling around and firing guns at each other, and it's just it loses its way. But yeah, so it's a real oddity, and also Robert Pattinson is playing. He's kind of doing his thing where he uglifies himself, like by having a weird haircut and affecting a voice and a weird stoop and all these sort of things. So it's not like they're not playing on his sex appeal in the slightest in this, which again feels odd when you think you've got so much at stake. I guess hats off to it. It doesn't play it safe, but that's probably why it didn't make very much money.
Can you just help me out a little bit, just to sort of clarify? When you say a stoop, do you mean he's got like sort of an extension built onto the front of his house and he's using an American terminology for it, or is it he's leaning forward slightly because he's got like scoliosis?
It's the extension on his house. That's what's so weird. It's jutting off the front of the spaceship.
Just like a rocking chair, like a little swing.
It's there.
In space, in the coldness of space. All right, yeah, thanks for clearing that up. Yeah, I think like Rupert, I really like Parasite. It was funny how much my mother didn't, but yeah, I really liked it. So it's weird that this film came out and it passed me by, and I didn't even think, I need to watch that because it's Bong Joon-ho. It really did sort of slip me by. So I can imagine I may watch it at some point, but I'm not going to seek it out, especially after, like, I've seen Moon, which was really good. So
yeah. Yeah, it's there's a lot going for it. It is. I was really enjoying it, like until about 3/4 of the way through, and I was genuinely like, people have missed out on this because this is a lot of fun, and it does look good, and it is quirky and odd. But then it's just the ending. It goes on, and my patience wore out.
Did he do The Host?
Yes.
Back in the day.
He's done some really good, like Korean. Is it Korean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Films. I've watched a couple of them. There's like a murder. What's it called? Murder something, which is good. Yeah, he's a very good director. So if you're worth a watch for him.
Yeah.
But it's not perfect.
But I'm gonna be really brisk with my films today because we've covered a lot of them before. But I just wanted to say that I basically caught up on some films you guys have suggested, which has been really nice. I watched Predator: Badlands, and I absolutely loved it much more than I thought I would.
Wow.
I did. I do know what you mean, Lazlo, when you said that you watched it. Am I right? This is the film you watched with your partner, and she laughed at bits you frowned at.
Yes.
Yeah, I reckon I could point out those moments because it's when the humor gets a bit sort of broad.
Yeah,
and I was okay with it because it kind of seemed to suit the tone of the film. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed it, and I was enjoying it so much. I was waiting for something to go wrong. I had the same feeling as when I watched. I'm not going to be able to remember the name of the film now. The one, my favorite film with Ethan Hawke in the time traveling film. Predestination. Where I was Predetermined Destination, where I was watching it and I was enjoying it so much. I was waiting for it to falter, and it never did. And I got that vibe from this. So, yeah, even the kind of sort of half sort of silly ending, like setting something up. I kind of don't care if there's a sequel or not because I thought, I would happily watch this again. And it's now, I would say for me, the order goes Predator, Prey, and then maybe Badlands or Predator 2. Yeah, my top 4. So, yes, I really enjoyed it. So
I do think it's a film that I will enjoy more second time round because of the shock value of the complete curveball will have dissipated a bit.
I wonder if in places it'll look weirdly better on a small screen. Like I remember some of the fights being a bit close-uppy and a bit visually confusing, that often when you see them on TV, then they're fine.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Anyway.
So yeah, that's just a little catch-up from me. Rupert, what else have you got, babe?
I have got Train Dreams on Netflix.
Oh, I'm interested in this.
Okay, well, strap in. This is based on a novel, and it feels like a novel. Actually, it's a novella. To be honest, I swore this movie was like 2.5 hours, but somehow it's under 2 hours. It stars Joel Edgerton as an Idaho railway worker, basically charting bits of his life from the early 20th century to his demise at 80 years old. along the way, he marries his sweetheart. He loses his sweetheart. He struggles with aging. He meets some oddball characters, including William H. Macy, good. And he experiences all kinds of loss, and he searches for the meaning of life among the trees and hills. And a lot of the praise for this film, because it's been very critically lauded, is how like lived in it feels. And I do think it's like depiction of the tough life of loggers is definitely impressive, but it's not really supported by a very interesting or enlightening story, I would say. It looks beautiful and it's got this nice 4:3 cinematography, and it does a decent job of like mimicking Terrence Malick. But then the great Malick films, I'd say, before he became completely aimless, they were always underpinned by an engrossing and dynamic story. Think about like Badlands or Thin Red Line or New World or even Tree of Life to an extent. But the scenes in this movie are just like vignettes. They're kind of like brush strokes of a life, and there's no real incident, I wouldn't say. And it has this blunt, disinterested narrator without any kind of irony or distance, just filling in the gaps that the script fails to fill. And then you got Edgerton and his wife, who's played by Felicity Jones, and they've got zero chemistry, so that kind of undermines a lot of it. And I just think, what am I meant to take from this? That life in the past was grindingly hard and tedious. It's like, no shit. And I think it's probably a film about time, about the brevity of life and the lack of inherent meaning. And because we watch this guy work and get old and people die around him and he still finds no meaning. And ultimately, I think what it's trying to say is that we shouldn't waste our brief, miserable lives waiting around. We should spend it living, I guess. Every moment of levity is brief, and it's followed by some tragedy or unforeseen misery. Like at one point, he like meets a nice lady who can bring him out of his existential malaise. And the next scene, he has a fever and he's spewing on the floor beside his bed. It's like, okay. And I think I fundamentally just hate what they call slow cinema. I just think it feels like misery porn to me. And then I thought to myself, why do I then make an exception for like Ingmar Bergman or, more importantly, Andrei Tarkovsky, who's like the high priest of slow cinema? And I think it's because like with Tarkovsky, his films are more transportive and they're like more ironically funny, more expressionistic, and somehow not boring, even when he has a 2-minute unbroken shot of a man lying in a puddle next to a dog. And I think also it's the lack of sentimentality, because Train Dreams has this interminable, weepy, delicate piano and cello score that smothers everything in this kind of saccharine sweetness. And then you got this totally unearned ending. You just had endured 2 hours of abject misery, and now you're kind of asking me to feel uplifted. And it comes across as phony. And critics, yeah, like I say, they're all over this movie like a cheap suit. But I think we've all got to be honest with ourselves. No one's really going to be in the mood to watch it. And if you do, you'll be disappointed. So don't bother.
So you liked it?
Yeah, loved it. That was really tedious, actually.
Maybe I won't watch this.
Yeah.
Slow cinema.
It's a pity because I do like the cast.
Joel Edgerton is a weird one, isn't he? Because he just kind of he seems to be in almost everything, and he's almost everything. Maybe this is an exception, but almost everything he's in is good, or at least
it's of a
solid standard.
Caliber,
yeah, he's like very good at picking his projects.
I feel like he's he's not American, and yet he seems to fill roles which are very kind of uniquely American somehow. I don't know. It's just the sense I get of him.
Yeah. Does anyone look forward to a Joel Edgerton film though? He's quite I don't know, like a solid, unexciting presence.
Was it The Gift the first saw him in? And I remember I really liked him in that. And then he was in Bright, obviously. I think when he's in a film, I think, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't seek them out.
Like he was in Warrior as well, but it was like, well, I'm really watching this for Tom Hardy and Nick Nolte. He's good, and there's probably no one better for the role, perhaps, but he's never that exciting, and definitely not in this movie because it's not an exciting movie.
I watched him in a TV
Don't worry, I've got a Yui
series.
Bowl next, so we can.
Oh my God.
If you ever watch something on Apple TV, this is the Rupert. I appreciate. You should watch Dark Matter with Joel Edgerton in, because that was really cool.
Okay.
And he plays like dozens of versions of himself, and they're all so he's got
Mickey 17.
He does a good job of like playing a nice guy, and then this guys who are just ragged but the same guy, but subtly different in their ways, and it's very good.
The narrator you mentioned that you dismissed out of hand, Rupert, was Will Patton.
I know it is. Yeah, I know it is. But I didn't hear a single whistle in his voice, so it's not really him as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, that's not him then. Sorry about that. Sorry for bringing that up.
Taken out in post.
Yeah, they must have just spelled this name completely wrong. Lazlo, it's time for you to take your shoes off and pull some money out.
We can finally talk about 28 years later.
Hey,
did you actually talk about this before, or have we just talked about talking about it before?
It's all very meta. I watched it about 2 or 3 months ago, and then you both said, "Oh, I'll watch that for the next episode," and then it didn't happen until now. And now I have vague memories of it, so I'll let you take the lead on this one. Classic stuff.
Do we need to delay it again?
No.
Or,
we don't do. It's not over 20 years old, so we're not allowed to spoil the ending.
It'll be 28 years until we talk about it at this rate. So, 28 years later, directed by Danny Boyle, who directed the first one, 28 minutes? What is it? Days. Fucking hell.
I'd still see the zombies pegging it into the distance if it was 28 minutes later.
It's just
he wouldn't have missed
film.
much, would he? Yeah. So, yes, it's not been 28 years quite since the first one came out. But this is the third film in the 28 whatever series of zombie films. So it's had 28 days later, 28 weeks later, now 28 years later. But this one, Danny Boyle has come back to direct, and it's he does a full-on job of it, to be fair, to the point where I feel like he's directing the shit out of it in order to trick us into not realizing that there's not really much of a story here. So since the outbreak of the Rage virus, which is what their version of zombies in this, Britain is now shut off from the rest of the world, and anyone unfortunate to still be trapped here has had to learn to survive in isolation. So the main characters in this live on a little island that's only accessible by a causeway when the tide drops. And there's zombies which have sort of learned to evolve too. So they've some of them have developed a sort of form of intelligence, and some of them have grown super strong. And they've kind of started working in packs and communities of their own. And some of them have turned into huge crawling blobs, which just so I did wonder if they've taken a leaf out of Left 4 Dead here with the variety of zombies. But yes, Danny Boyle injects a lot of energy into the film and manages to make it feel quite fresh, considering I don't think it shows us anything we haven't seen a number of times before. And there are some decent performances and gnarly moments, but by the end of it, it doesn't wrap anything up. It just leaves it open for sequels, and one of which they've already made.
Yeah, it's out in a couple of months, isn't it? The Bone Temple.
Yes. Which was a bit annoying. So you've waited all these years for essentially another middle chapter. But I did enjoy it. But yes, it's not done very well. So they were going to do a third one as well, and so I'm not sure. I think that's probably hanging in the balance depending on how this second one does.
Oh, really? I thought it did okay. Did it? I figured it didn't cost.
No, I think it underperformed.
Yeah.
considering the hype. But the second, the new one, the Bone Temple does look quite cool, which has reinvigorated my interest, because at the end of this, I won't spoil it, but there is a dramatic shift in tone at the very end of this film into a kind of almost like a farce.
Okay.
And where I was literally sort of staring at my partner and thinking, and we were just like, what the fuck is going on? This is, it's like a jump the shark, killer franchise level moment.
Wow.
But then the new trailer for the new one, which carries on with some of the characters introduced at the end of this, seems to have like curved that off and gone back to sanity. So hopefully it will be all right. And I probably will watch the next one. But this one was a bit of a middling thing for me.
Yeah, I was. I know what you mean about it being a sort of middle chapter, and it's over directed and it doesn't show us much. But I kind of liked it in the way that it felt like a little, almost like a slice of life thing, where it was just like this small period of time, this sort of little story involving a handful of characters. Honed in on, a sort of focused on, as opposed to, oh, this is where we are now. These are all these different groups. It's much more focused. You're just kind of introduced to a handful of characters, just their day-to-day life. I did like that. I thought Jodie Comer was really good in it. And I found it was very poster-worthy. There were a lot of visuals that I felt could be posters. Like one of them is, you know what I mean, the zombies on the hill sort of thing. There's a lot of like sort of key moments that's quite striking visually. And I know what Lazlo means when it does take the ending. I actually had to rewind and watch it again because I thought I missed something. Like I was like, hang on now, what's this? But no, I hadn't. It was just as baffling as it appeared to be. And yeah, I was quite happy. It was, it's basically just focuses on effectively a family of like 3 or 4 people, and how this sort of sequence of events affects them and fractures them. So yeah, I think I liked it more than you. And I definitely would be watching the Bone Temple, the next one, which is out in a couple of months. Did you say?
Yeah, it may even be January.
Oh bloody hell! I thought it was like the end of next year.
No, it's already. It was shot at the same time, I think.
Oh, fair enough. I'll definitely watch that. I really enjoyed this. I kind of wish I could say more, but it's just been like nearly a quarter of a year since I've seen it, so I can't really think back.
It was shot on, I think this was shot on iPhones as well, obviously with lenses added and all sorts of things. But it does look good considering that on the whole. There weren't many shots where I got that digital sort of ugliness.
Okay.
Yeah, this is much more watchable than the first one is now. The first one is actually troublesome to watch.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Have
they tried to upscale that or anything?
It just honestly, it felt like I was watching a film that was constantly buffering, but 20 years ago. So it was, it really was not fun in some aspects.
I can imagine streaming that as well. It probably makes it worse. Not just because streaming makes everything worse, but streaming struggles with fine details and stuff, doesn't it? It kind of in order to stream smoothly and not pause, it will sacrifice fidelity. And if you're dealing with a fuzzy, messy image in the first place, it's probably just going to add artifacts to something that's already covered in
artifacts.
Sacrifice and Fidelity was a Nick Hornby book, wasn't it? I remember now.
High fidelity.
Oh, man. For a period of time, that was one of my favourite films.
I don't think I've
a brief period of time. I don't know how it would have aged now, but Jack Black's in it without managing to piss me off too much, which is impressive.
There you go.
Again, another quick one for me. Black Bag. I watched that on Lazlo's recommendation, and again, thoroughly enjoyed it. Watched it with Faye, and we were really hip deep into it. I know what you mean about. I love how sort of stark and wordy it is, and I love these sort of low key spy thrillers where it's just people not trusting each other. And in this, it's in a lot of sort of nice area, like you get a little bit of Europe, and then a lot of it's just in these like this palatial home. It's very still. It reminded me the way it was filmed. I don't think it was called Chef. That film with Ray Fiennes about like fine dining and murder, effectively. And that was the same. It was like a very still, lots of reflective surfaces and sort of mood lighting, and it was just a very pretty film to watch, kind of Fincherian. So I enjoyed that. Michael, but both of the main characters in this, the actors rather, Michael Fassbender was thin in this film, and it makes him look really old. Like we couldn't decide if he'd been made up to look older or not. He just really lined and gaunt. And Kate Blanchett, I thought she'd had Michael Clive, but I don't think she has. I think she's like a beautiful woman, but she just looks sort of slightly warped. And I was like, what's happening here? I felt like, are you Helen Hunt? What's happening? Are you Famke Janssen? What's happening? So that was slightly distracting. But in terms of the actual film itself, I really enjoyed it. I know what you mean. I think you made a comment about the Michael Fassbender and Kate Blanchett. Their relationship is completely unbelievable. Like, they don't interact like people at all. And even though that's kind of a plot point to some extent, I didn't believe it at all. I thought that they were so icy and isolated and insular that I thought, would they really be like that? Or would they just be better off like not actually being in a relationship? So, but yeah, I did really enjoy it. You didn't tell me that Tom Burke was in this, or as I like to call him, Charlie Brooker. He was, I thought, is that? No, it's not. But no, there's some of the sub characters are really cool, and I really laughed out loud at the scene where someone gets stabbed in the hand, and he says really calmly, "That's the most boring thing you've ever done." I really laughed at that line.
Next time I get stabbed in the hand, I'll try that one.
Yeah, there's a couple of other bits actually. I'm looking at the other two films I'm going to talk about, and I've singled out lines in each of them, or moments in that really tickled me. So yes, so no, I really enjoyed this. Definitely would recommend this. It is like, and it's surprisingly brief as well. It's like 90 minutes.
Yeah,
but it's got this sort of luxuriousness of like a 2-hour film, if that makes sense. Like, you really feel like you've sat through something, but it's quite pacey as well, which is quite cool.
Yeah, it's dense, isn't it? It's like you have to keep listening and paying attention the whole time to follow it properly, because it doesn't really suffer lazy watchers.
And I do like how it does wrap itself up, and it's not afraid to say, boom, 90 minutes done. Answers all the questions.
I do enjoy like Steven Soderbergh's like willingness to be brisk, like considering he's one of those directors who can kind of do what he likes. He still keeps it lean.
Yeah.
David Lean.
He's a real one.
Cool. Right, back to you, Rupert. We're smashing through these.
Where is Black Bag available?
I watched it on Now TV.
I didn't. I watched it on one of the stream services, but I cannot remember now. I want to say Prime, but I cannot remember.
Okay.
But over to you, Rupert.
Well, I'm now going to turn to Prime and talk about First Shift, which is a Yui Ball movie from 2024. After his apparent retirement, but I guess he gave up on that. He retiring. It is about a grumpy New York cop played by Gino Anthony Pezzi, who should just admit defeat with his hair. It's astonishing, that man. He looks like Robert Forster circa the Delta Force in this movie. But yeah, anyway, he plays a cop and he gets a new partner, this super enthusiastic lady cop from Atlanta. And the film basically is portraying their first day together, getting to know each other, various crime scenes they attend. It's kind of got a goofy sense of humor, this one. She's a social media influencer and she's into yoga and she talks about people's energy and things like that. She's very silly and oversharing, but not utterly charmless. And while she rambles on about her backstory, he's just like mumbling, "I don't care," and stuff under his breath, which is quite amusing. There is some amusing dialogue in this, actually. But I'm not going to quote it because it's just not funny when I quote it. But it does a reasonable job of developing the characters and providing exposition whilst making them sound like vaguely believable people. It addresses sexual politics head on, like when she asks if he would have helped her with this perp if she hadn't been a woman. And there's a genuinely tense scene where it cuts these gangsters, and they're giving this guy a terrible choice. Basically, they're saying either we kill you painfully and slowly and spare your son, or we kill your son quickly and painlessly. So that's quite a good setup. But it kind of highlights two of the problems of this film. First of all, like, it's all over the place in terms of tone, because you've got these kind of wacky goofball characters, but at the same time, and then you've got these just cuts these really harsh, like, brutal gangster elements. It's got the kind of usual Uwe Boll idiosyncrasies, like the goofball humor and characters espousing political views, which just sound like an angry Reddit post. And you get this kind of weird editing where just apparently irrelevant shots are just spliced into the film. But yeah, there's a second bigger problem, because that scene I mentioned with the gangsters and that tense scene is not concluded by the end of this film, because clearly it is a pilot of some sorts, which I didn't realize until it got to the point where it came up with like a coming soon towards the end, and it showed bits from what's presumably going to be the next film, I guess.
Oh dear.
So loads of it is left hanging at the end. And I mean, the duo would be reasonably appealing in a series, I guess, but I'm not sure what the film is really doing to mark itself out from the crowd, other than being slightly idiosyncratic. And the plot threads are all pretty disjointed, and it doesn't come together in a satisfying conclusion. And I suppose in a way it's not meant to, because of that reason. And I think if this film had ended with certainty and it had a shootout at the end and an emotional reconciliation, I could recommend it, because it's not badly made, and it's even quite well-meaning. It's just kind of pointless without a sequel, and you don't even know if that's going to be made. Frankly, you probably retire or something, never make it,
and then come back.
Yeah. So again, it's not terrible. It's just a bit pointless, really. Without
that does sound the whole thing about it feeling like a pilot. That's not.
Well, yeah, I couldn't tell whether it was a pilot for like a TV series or whether it was just a series of movies. I guess it probably wasn't made for much, to be honest.
Is Darfur actually good? I know you guys have talked about it a lot.
Well, yes, it is. It's really
Because
powerful.
I'm curious whether
it's very harrowing. Yeah, I'm not messing about.
Uwe, is it Uwe Boll?
Yeah,
is that his name? Like, because everything that I've seen from him has been
not like good,
passable,
right?
To be kind, and just dog shit. Like, for the most part, like, so it's hard, but he's persisted, isn't he? And maybe he has it in him to make a good film, but on the evidence of what I've seen, he doesn't have the instincts and the intelligence to make a good film.
I think if you watch Tunnel Rats and Darfur,
yeah, I would say Tunnel Rats and Darfur. Well, Tunnel Rats certainly. I mean, Darfur. I don't know the politics behind that, so I don't know whether he's just full of shit or whatever. But I mean, it's a well-made movie, and it's a well-meaning movie. He's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't he? Because like he's made some real frivolous shit in his time, like Dungeon Siege or whatever it was called, and or what's the other one? Blood Rain. That wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's made some pretty competent ones. Even his like ridiculous hyperbolic. What was the one with the guy
Rampage with that really intense actor?
Yeah, with a really intense actor guy. I mean, it was like well made, dubious politically speaking, but like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he definitely means it. I mean, it's not, and they're anything but frivolous. You see what I mean? So it's kind of strange. We've got two sides of the same coin. But
should he have stuck to making like more? So, I don't know, avoiding the genre stuff and stuck with like making factually based films.
I don't know. Because I honestly, because they both got their issues, you know, in a way. Because it's. I mean, Darfur's like quite over the top and like heavy-handed, but you know, it's obviously kind of like he's trying to make a serious point. He's trying to make a serious movie, and it's not laughably crass or anything. It's just really harsh.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's a very sledgehammer, isn't it? His approach to things, and
Yes.
it just falls both sides of the coin. Really,
Yes, that's what it is. He's uncompromising.
Does he write his own stuff, or is it?
I think so.
So is it a question of like whether if he just needs the right material for his sensibilities?
He doesn't strike me as the kind of person who would just film someone else's script. I don't know. Maybe he has filmed other people's scripts. I'm not sure, but he seems like, I guess, to be unkind, you'd say that he's like an Ed Wood type thing, where he's like believes in his vision, etc. You know, but he's not as bad as all that.
I get him sometimes confused with Neil Marshall in that, like, there's a competence there, and they've occasionally been given loads of money to kind of do something, and they've always ended up kind of bouncing between, you know, passably good and not passably good. Yeah. I don't know, like a journey.
Well, yeah, like Neil Marshall made one of my Dog Soldier is one of my favorite horror
never
films, and then he made Duchess, which is one of the worst films I've seen.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not. I would say Albert Pune is consistently worse than Uwe Boll or indeed Neil Marshall.
Yeah, his films are borderline unwatchable, aren't they? Sometimes.
Yeah, like even when he's throwing a load of money, it's like, well, you just wasted it because this is crap. Except Old Man, just about.
You didn't mention Arcade then, Rupert. I don't know why.
No, I didn't today.
I still haven't finished Doll Man. I did start it once, and it was so bad, and I was just like, I'm too tired and hungover to watch this. I'll come back another time, and I never have. I remember there's like right in the first 5 minutes, there's like a VFX shot of a city, and there's like a train or something coming through the shot, and it glitches, and the train just disappears for a few frames. And I immediately spotted, I was like, that train just vanished. And that was an indicator of what quality we were looking at.
What was to come.
Yeah. On the subject of schlocky shit genre directors, shall I talk about Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another?
Yeah.
Oh, do you know this has been on the cusp of my vision.
Yeah, essentially, so you can rent it now for the princely sum of £20.
Wow,
Jesus!
Yeah, I since like they did it was like with COVID, they brought in this thing like it's a new cinema release, so you can watch it for £20 at home, and that seemed like a reasonable compromise. Post COVID, they've just stuck with it. So it's like it's a new film. You're gonna have to spend £20 just to rent it. Which is ridiculous.
That is insane.
And I get they sit there and go, well, your whole family can watch it for £20. That's actually a bargain. Fuck off. Anyway, I watched this at the cinema, as it should have been. And I really, really enjoyed the shit out of this film. I can see why it's got there's a hint of backlash towards it, because it's quite it's long and it's very his vision. Like I can see it treading on certain people's toes, but it felt like I was completely on board with his vision of this, and it felt very Paul Thomas Anderson, whilst also being a million miles away from the sort of static, like, composure of like Phantom Thread and The Master and things like that. So it's set in a slightly heightened version of modern day America. I say slightly. There's sort of open rebellion on the streets and the military clashing. So it's only slightly heightened. And Leonardo DiCaprio plays a former revolutionary who had a daughter and now lives with her off grid. So when she was born, he gave up this revolutionary life where they were liberating immigrants and stuff from internment camps and that sort of thing. And so he's now turned into a kind of a pot smoking, washed up alcoholic. But Sean Penn, who plays this sort of insane military leader that he clashed with in the past, also shagged Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriend at that time, so may or may not be the actual father of the daughter. And he wants to join a extreme right-wing sort of cabal of rich people, but she, as a mixed-race daughter, represents a dirty mark on his ledger, so he wants to find her and prove whether he is or isn't her father. So this brings Leonardo DiCaprio out of retirement to try and rescue her. So it's a big, long chase movie, effectively, where they're both trying to get to his daughter first. And the first half an hour is really intense. It's tonally odd because the first half an hour is very intense and actiony, and then when we jump to present day and his daughter's grown up and how he's a bum, it becomes very funny because he is basically like an angry version of the dude. So he's sort of constantly getting over being stoned or drunk or drinking or smoking, whilst trying to engage with his sort of ex-militant buddies and reconnect with that world, and with some very funny scenes. So it's an odd one, but I was really kind of swept along with the whole journey of it and the whole energy that it has. So whilst it is a long film, it didn't feel long at all. It's always moving forward and or making you laugh and or just making you wince when every time Sean Penn is on the screen, because he is so utterly repugnant in this film. It's unbelievable. And he's looking and sounding more and more like RFK Jr. He's even got this like the croaky voice that he can't do anything about, and he looks like him, and it's just like, oh, it's so weird.
He likes the fact,
and he's really ripped, but like, so, like the skin is sagging off his ripped body. It's just grim. So he's brilliant in this. He kind of steals every scene that he's in.
For American
is
listeners,
fun.
he likes the fags means he likes smoking cigarettes, not he's homosexual.
Yeah, we don't want to get in trouble for that.
Yeah, he's definitely asserts himself as not homosexual in this film, which probably means he is.
Yeah,
really. Anyway,
usually does.
Yeah, but I enjoyed this a lot, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing it again. But I'm not spending £20 to rent it.
I'm keen on this one.
Yeah.
I don't always like Paul Thomas Anderson's work, but he really is an auteur, isn't he? He really does dedicate himself to the vision. And it shows what happens when you do chuck money. It's a competent artist. Same with Guillermo, I suppose.
I mean, I can't let him off the hook for the price tag of this film, because it costs something like $200 to $250 million.
Just why do they make these decisions? Because surely, I mean, when was the last time you had like a bona fide hit? Really?
Yeah, I mean, he's never made a film of this scale before. But what's nuts is it doesn't really feel like that. It really, I mean, it's incidentally lavish. Like there's sort of almost like handheld documentary things. Like you'll have Leonardo DiCaprio running down an alleyway, and then beyond him there'll be tanks and 1,000 military guys clashing with civilians in the background. And it's really not made a thing of, but you think, oh my God, the amount of money, they must have filmed there for a week with 1,000+ extras all engaging in stunts and shooting guns and stuff. But it's gone in a few moments, and it's so incidental. It
sounds a bit like Children of Men when you put it that way. Almost, and
like it hasn't done that well either.
No.
But if it cost what it should have cost for what is essentially quite a small story, it probably have done quite nicely. But no, 250 million.
Just going through his filmography, Paul Thomas. Yeah, I always mix up WS and Thomas. Hard Eight was amazing. Boogie Nights is great. I've never seen Magnolia. I know you like Punch Drunk Love, Roop. There Will Be Blood was full on.
Magnolia is good.
Inherent Vice I really didn't like.
No.
Maybe I would now. I just remember it being not funny and really meandering.
Yeah, pretty much.
Weirdly, the names of my feet. So there was a link there. Phantom Thread, was that?
Haven't
I
seen that yet.
really liked that film. It looked like it shouldn't have been enjoyable, like on paper, and even just to watch the trailer for it. You know, it looks so dry. It's about a controlling what's his name? Like he makes clothes, whatever the fucking name of that is.
Seamstress? Well, seamster.
I guess he's like he's a fashion sort of designer,
Okay.
clothes maker, who falls in love-ish with a waitress, and then they sort of have a weird, sort of mutually abusive relationship. It's so, like, on paper should not be enjoyable, but it really was. It's really offbeat, funny, and affecting, and yeah, I really enjoyed that. It may even be my favorite of his films.
I love The Master, and I love Magnolia.
Yeah, I would say it was a lot more fun than The Master, which I also liked, but
It's not really a knee slapper, is it?
No. Whereas Phantom Thread is almost like a dark comedy, a very dark, weird comedy.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not a million miles away from Inherent Vice, though, in the kind of offbeat stonery kind of aspect of it, but it's just so much more propulsive and actually has stakes that you give a shit about and stuff. There is an incredible car chase at the end of this, which isn't like every car is smashing and flying off the road. It's literally based around the humps of a road in a desert, and these cars are constantly dipping in and out of shots, and then there's the cameras on the front of the car, so you're swooping up and down. Anyone with travel sickness would be spewing, I would imagine. But it's like you think you can't, you struggle to come up with a novel angle of a car chase in a desert, and it's somehow managed to find it. It's yeah, really good.
One last thing as well. Is Licorice Pizza any good?
Again, it's a bit meandering
as well.
I found it was. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit sentimental and stuff. You get the feeling it's possibly based on his childhood.
Yeah,
but I liked it.
Oh, fuck that up the arse. I'm not watching that. Probably digging out scripts from. I remember how funny when we were teenagers. I've seen Superbad. I'm not watching that again. What I did watch though was Paranorman. Finally,
oh yeah,
which I watched it because I was really excited because you said it was awesome and you were correct. But then I thought, oh, there's a sequel, but there's not. I don't know why. I thought there was a sequel coming out next year because it is ripe. It will be so ripe for a sequel.
There's so many more horror films to mine. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. So just wanted to say Rupert was right. Basically, this was just a really, really good film, and I think it's PG, and it's quite a hard PG.
Yeah.
Like for like 5 hours. There was my son actually fell asleep like about half an hour from the end, and I'm kind of glad because there were a lot of questions. Like he understands death. I mean, he's walked in a few times and seen me on the stool. But so it's like he's fine with it. He's seen me polishing the gun. Calling, what, Daddy? Why are you looking in the mirror and calling yourself a coward and touching that knife? So yeah, but that was fine. But then it gets to the point where there's so many. It's so intense, like the level of death and like all the different things. It was like there was a lot of questions. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. The part of this film though that tickled me, and you'll remember this, Rupert. Mm-hmm. It's a visual joke at the very start when there's like he's watching something on TV and it's meant to be a sort of like Hammer horror kind of Frankenstein thing, and a woman in this is like screaming. She slams the door on the monster, and he punches his arm through like the door, and then he punches his other arm through the door, and she thinks he's going to grab her, so she screams. But then he kicks both his legs through the door as well, and so he's like he wouldn't be able to stand, and it just really tickled me, and that put me in a good mood for the rest of the film. Then. The voice, the quality of the recording of the voices in this, I haven't got like a home audio setup. I just use my TV speakers, but it sounded gorgeous, really rich, and John Goodman's voice in this, it's so funny, and it's such a his voice will go from like sort of manic, like high pitched coughing to like really deep rumbling bass, and I thought I was kind of glad he wasn't in the film longer, but there was some Faye laughed out loud at some moments in it, and it was. Probably suggestive for kids maybe when they're like 6 to 8, as opposed to 4 to 5.
It
But
does-
it's still doable.
The death conversation does come up because it's so much about death. It's literally about that.
There's nothing else apart from death in the whole film.
Pretty much. It is full on though, yeah, and it's really intense. Like the final sequence, it's like because it goes really weird and existential towards the end. It's like, wow, okay, this is different.
Like the bits where it was a bit sentimental and he was talking to the girl, I was actually thinking, oh, thank God, there's like a bit of relief from the constant barrage of death.
Oh, good. Wait, is it on anything at the moment, Paranorman? On a streaming service?
I've been because I've been ill. I haven't been paying attention to where I'm watching things. They're just on, so I do apologize. I might even have it on like a DVD because I've got a stack of DVDs I'm working through. Not Blu-rays, DVDs. Don't you worry about that.
ITVX. There you go.
No, it's not. I must have watched on DVD then.
Yeah, because you would remember the adverts.
Yes, I would. I'd still be talking about them.
Still watching the bloody movie. The amount of adverts in there. Right. Okay. Can I talk about Under Siege 1 and 2?
Fuck
yeah. Bloody yeah. Oh, by the way, I was wearing, you know, that Lazlo designed Steven Seagal t-shirt I've got, Take Out. I was wearing it the other day was I in a pub? I was somewhere and someone said, "Oh, that t-shirt is amazing." I think it was in a charity shop, and someone took a picture of it to show his friend. He said that t-shirt is amazing. So It's a shame this isn't like a visual podcast, so we could show you stuff, but we can't reveal Lazlo's secret identity. He's actually called Susan Weber.
Britt, Jesus.
Spoiler alert. Under Siege.
You would change your name, like if you were a guy called Susan Weber, wouldn't you?
Probably would. Call it a Juliet or something, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and you know there'd be a time where you'd just be like sat watching like TV with your parents, and there'd be like a silence, and you'd say, "Dad," and you'd say, "This is going to be about your name, isn't it, Susan?" Yeah, it is actually, Dad. Yeah, because you're called Brian, which is a man's name.
Mum's called Bernard.
and the dog's called Manning.
A dog called Manning. Right. Under Siege, which is on Disney Plus. It's a 1992 action thriller, and quite obviously the high point in the career of alleged sex pest Steven Seagal. Ex-military robbers Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey board a Navy warship and take everyone hostage. Tommy Lee Jones wants revenge for a failed CIA assassination attempt, and Gary Busey wants to buy the presidency or something. Basically, they're bad guys. Unfortunately for them, Casey Ryback is on board, and obviously he is played by Russian Special Envoy Steven Seagal. He was a SEAL, and now he's just a cook. And he needs to take down the bad guys.
Just a cook.
Sous chef.
So he has to take down the bad guys with the help of a stripper and a motley crew of disposable allies. It's a good main cast, clearly, as we've heard. And it's quite well directed by Andrew Davis. This was the movie, apparently, that got him the Fugitive.
He's a dab hand. Yes, The Fugitive, yeah.
The concept of stealing military hardware and the rationale of the bad guys, I think, is a bit better handled than the moralizing nonsense in The Rock, I'd say. Other observations: stunning lack of chemistry between Seagal and Erika Eleniak. Possibly because, according to Gary Busey, he sexually harassed her on the set. There you go.
That's a surprise.
Yeah. This site,
you wouldn't expect that kind of behaviour from awful blues guitarist and wife beater Steven Seagal, would you?
Steven Seagal.
Why'd I laugh at that? Sorry to his victims. I didn't mean to laugh.
The sight of Steven Seagal sending someone into a complete flip just by waving his hands feels a bit silly. Having seen the footage of Seagal defeating foes at a phony tournament, but there you go. He is pretty much indestructible in this film and never gets into a situation of any real peril. The only peril in the film is what happens when he isn't there, which doesn't really make him very relatable in the way that like John McClane was or something. And also, what is it with Tommy Lee Jones, right? Trying to out wacky his co-stars, because clearly Gary Busey is bonkers in this. But then Tommy Lee Jones, for some reason, is prancing about, dressing up like he doesn't want to be upstaged. And he did the same thing, of course, in Batman Forever against Jim Carrey with disastrous results. Not quite as disastrous here, I'd say, because he is quite a fun bad guy. And I kind of like the scene towards the end where the cannons go off and he just loses his hearing and goes bonkers. I think this film shows how average material can be elevated by a decent director and a cast having fun with the material. And then we get to Under Siege 2, Dark Territory.
When I watched Under Siege last year for the first time in a while, I know it's just like a corny sort of action film, but I did not believe the transformation within about 40 seconds of Erika Eleniak going from like this sort of frightened stripper to just a hardened soldier.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
With a completely different personality.
Does she even get a bit like later, like where she's teaching some other guy who works in the military how to load a gun or something?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, come on.
Well, because he's like one of the kitchen staff or whatever like that, but he presumably still have some relationship with. He should have gun training, I'd assume. No, she's teaching him how to reload and stuff. Brilliant.
And rolling her eyes at him as well, like he's a pussy.
Yeah,
like it's really bad.
You literally just got out of a cake with your tits out. So come on. Under Siege 2, Dark Territory, also on Disney Plus. The same train that featured in Runaway Train from 1985, by the way. That
Canon film
action movie with John Voight and Eric Roberts. Yeah, I think it was Canon.
Did Erika Eleniak come back for this film?
She did not. Weirdly. I would have believed it. This time
she was too busy making chasers.
This time, Casey Ryback. Ryback? Is it Ryback or Ryback?
Ryback, I think it is, yeah.
Played once again by...
I'd have gone with Beck. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm doubting myself. Anyway, this time, yes, Casey Ryback, played once again by Aikido fraud Steven Seagal, is going on an awkward cross-country train trip with his niece, Katherine Heigl. Terrorists take over the train. Casey's in the bogs or something at the time, so then it's up to him to save everyone with some help from an uncomfortably racially coded young black man who fancies his niece. As it happens, niece being Katherine Heigl, who's like 17 or whatever. So the black guy kid fancies his niece, which is appropriate. But so does friend of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, Steven Seagal, who at 43 apparently made suggestive comments to 17-year-old Katherine Heigl on the set. So there you go.
You'd expect nothing less from noted coke drinker Steven Seagal, would you really?
Anyway, this film is all about selling arms for $1 billion, which made me think, is the whole scheme really worth it for that? Like, you'd think regular arms dealing would just probably get you more money. Anyway, the director is Jeff Murphy. He also made Young Guns 2 and Free Jack. I
will not hear a bad word against Young Guns 2, but
or Free Jack. On. He was also second unit director in the Lord of the Rings trilogy as well.
Really?
It is functionally directed and edited, I'd say, because the real problem is the scripts, of course. And actually, the real magic in the film is making Everett McGill convincingly tough looking, to be honest. I just think of him as gentle Ed Hurley from Twin Peaks. But there you go.
It's a step down, isn't it? A train from I
was just going to mention,
warship.
This setting kind of sucks compared with the first film. And then, because obviously it's really confined and annoying and just linear. And Casey Ryback triggers the final shootout in a train car just packed with civilians. They're just spraying automatic gunfire over people's heads. They're ducking, but many of them would die. There's a scene where Casey is shot in the shoulder with his sniper rifle. And then about 10 minutes later, he falls off a sheer cliff, grabs a ledge as he falls with a fully grown man hanging off his legs. It's astonishing.
But he does get injured, albeit seemingly with no actual detrimental effect.
I think what made the first film fun and satisfying to watch was Casey using his knowledge of the environment to take out the bad guys. But of course, in Under Siege 2, he's moving around the train and seems to know where everything is, despite having never been there. So that doesn't even make sense anymore. And really, the only reason he isn't caught a lot of the time is because henchmen happen to be looking the wrong way. Other than that, I mean, he'd just be dead. There's a scene.
Is he a cook on the train, or
is he what?
Is he a cook on the train?
He does. There is a scene where he's teaching the kid who fancies his daughter how to cook. I think it's just a little character moment.
They got it in there somewhere.
Yeah. There's
It is right
This is
back, by the way.
just how you
Sorry.
make sauerkraut and borscht.
There is a scene where they get off the train where the main baddie tells his men not to shoot and kill either Casey or the porter guy because one of them has this CD they need. And I was thinking, why? Like, or on the off chance they literally shoot the CD. I mean, they could probably just still shoot them in the head or something. You know, they're not going to have it plastered on the forehead, are they? Anyway,
He might have it under his hat,
true.
under his chef's hat.
Yeah, so you just say, Eric Bogosian said to his men, so whatever you do, just don't shoot down at the top of his head. Okay.
The train crash at the end is quite well done, and Steven Seagal's escape from it is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen on film. It has some fun moments, but it's kind of nonsensical dog shit compared with the first one, to be honest.
So it's
Plus
not even
boobs.
not a fun watch then at all.
Not really, and unfortunately, like as we alluded to, Steven Seagal's general behaviour doesn't really deserve to be rewarded.
So is that all the films you watch starring the man whose real hair lives on only in faded photographs, Steven Seagal?
Exactly.
I love that. I've seen photos from what was it? One of its first or second films.
It's like Out to Kill, where it's thinning.
Yeah, like massively thinning, and now he still has a thick, luxurious rug.
Woven.
He looks like Grandpa Munster with his the whole thing like V right down to like the top of his nose. It's preposterous. It's further forward than it's ever been.
Casey Ryback, you are correct on that one, has quite an extensive Wikipedia page,
Really?
considering he's not a real person.
What is there to say about him? I mean, there's only 2 films, right?
Yeah. I'm not going to... I mean, he's got a whole biography
Wow.
about his time in the SEALs and stuff.
Okay.
It's not. Was it stuff that people have inferred from watching the film, or was it just like? Is it based on a novel or something?
Maybe Seagal wrote it himself. I don't know.
I mean, there are allusions to his character and backstory, aren't there? But not enough to bother making a Wikipedia page out of it.
No. It's a load of bullshit, you could say.
Oh, okay.
What?
Who's next?
Is it my turn?
It's Lazlo. It's Lazlo, yeah.
Shall I talk about Ballerina, from the world of John Wick? It's ballerina, but when I read it just now, it really looked like ballerina. I was like, did I spell that wrong? No, that's how you spell ballerina. Do you guys have any interest in this film?
I've heard that it's really good. I haven't. Yeah. And does John Wick turn up in it?
He does.
Yeah. I know nothing else apart from that.
I would say an extended cameo. It's like one of those things where you think like they cleverly filmed his scenes over a couple of days, but he does say some things and kill some people. So it's more than just turning up. You know, he didn't just phone it in. So this is a spin-off of the John Wick films, starring Ana de Armas, who shoots, stabs, and incinerates 200 plus people. And I think is set in between the 3rd and 4th John Wick films. I won't spoil what happens in those films, but I don't know how he managed to John Wick managed to fit the events of this in between those films, because I'm pretty sure he was on the run the whole time and or dying or dead. Anyway, he's in this for probably a grand total of maybe 10 minutes screen time. But it's okay because Ana de Armas is very good and very pretty and clearly did her homework on the stunt stuff. So she quite convincingly beats the shit out of people. There's a lot of fun action in this. Like, it's not a good film. It's directed by Len Wiseman, and it's probably his best film.
Okay.
But that isn't saying an awful lot, considering his best film before this was probably Die Hard 4.0. And it underwent extensive reshoots with the John Wick director Chad Stahelski before it was released. So he had some help, let's face it. But anyway, I really quite enjoyed this. It's if you just want a no brains action film, this delivers on that front, because the plot is, I can't even remember the plot. I think her parents are killed or something as a child, and she then goes into, like, as an orphan, enters this ninja assassin training program, but they also do ballet. Anyway, so she's the ballerina who kills people, and then she then decides to go and murder the people who killed her parents, and they turn out to live in an entire town full of assassins. So they live up in the mountains. So she basically has to then storm this whole town, where you walk into a bar and the barman is a hitman, and the locals who sit at the bar are also hitmen, and the young family at the back is a hitman and wife who with their kids who are training as hitmen, that sort of scenario. So there's a lot of fun to be had, where she's just, every room or house she stumbles into, there's another person there ready and waiting to kill her with special skills. There's some inventive ways of killing people. So, like, there's a flamethrower versus a fire hose duel, and it's not just a flamethrower where it just sort of streams out, like, it sort of does it in big bursts of fire. So she roasts alive probably 30 plus people in this film, and it doesn't give a fuck if they just are left, like, flailing and roasting. Like, she doesn't shoot them in the head, she just leaves them to it. And there's a bit where she uses, like, 2 ice skates tied together with the shoelaces as nunchucks, which is a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, it's like a show reel of action scenes with her killing people in fun and inventive ways, strung together with the thinnest of plots. And then John Wick turns
perfect.
up. Yeah, it pretty much is. If you've got a couple of wines in you, this is kind of perfect film action. If I was being cynical about it, there are signs of the reshoots and things. Norman Reedus turns up, I'm sure you'll be pleased to know.
Is he perfectly clean, washed, coiffed hair, or just a greasy rat, spiky bastard?
Really, really clean and fluffy hair.
Is he like bright-eyed, wide awake? Like, oh, what's happening here? You know, really switched on, or is he just squinting like he just smoked a massive boofy?
Yeah. He just stumbled in from off the set of The Walking Dead and didn't even change his clothes.
Yeah, just proceeded before he walks on stage. Someone says, "Oh, can you smell like shit and cake?"
Yeah, but he like is in it. It doesn't. This is not really a spoiler to say. He's seemingly killed, but it's not off screen. He's shot, and you think he's dead, but then his death is not really talked about, or it has no impact, and so you're waiting for there to be a twist that he's the bad guy, and then but it isn't. He just turns up again and he's alive, and he didn't die, and it's just not a thing. And you're like, well, hang on. He was dead. Where has he been? Why has no one talked about this? What about his daughter? It doesn't like hang together at all. But you go, okay, well, this is just where something got cut and it just got kind of glued together and they've rolled with it. But it doesn't matter because it's fun and it's felt breezier. It's certainly breezier than the last John Wick film, which I also really like, but that was like 3 hours long. This is just a pretty lean, mean, get in there, kill some people, get out kind of job. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
That sounds appealing.
Just don't expect to remember much of it afterwards.
Fine.
I'm going to do another quick 2 minute. I watched Scooby Doo from 2002. It was quite fitting, really, because this obviously Quentin Tarantino's recent comments about Matthew Lillard, just in the same year that I've started reassessing Matthew Lillard for myself and realising how actually good he is in these things. And yeah, I watched Scooby Doo. I don't know if either of you have seen this, the 2002 film with like Freddie Prinze Jr. and
no, I've
Sarah
only
McLachlan.
seen animated Scooby Doo, so I would like to see this. So I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. I was watching it, and I do like Matthew Lillard, and he does a really good Shaggy voice, and there's lots of, the CG's obviously a bit iffy, which is fine. There's a few funny jokes in it. One of the jokes actually that I remembered I had to say was, there's a scene in this where they get captured, it's the sequel, they get captured in a house, and they're captured in this cage. And they get captured because they've rung the doorbell twice, and they get taken into this sort of cellar on this like ridiculous roller coaster. And Scooby-Doo's looking at the cage, and they can see the other people that have been captured for ringing the doorbell before them in this old mansion. There's like a Girl Scout cookie in one cage, and she says, "Do you want a cookie?" And then he looks across, and there's a load of like Mormons, and they're holding their books, and they say, "Oh, have you heard the good news?" And Scooby-Doo says, "Yeah, there's cookies." And that really tickled me. That did tickle me. But unfortunately, the sequel is not as good as the first film because it's much messier. And so the first one is really good because it just plays on what you know. And, it starts off and they sort of disband over these silly arguments. And then 2 years later, they reform to solve a mystery on an island, obviously owned by Rowan Atkinson. I would expect no one else to own a luxury island, to be honest, in Australia. Yeah, it's hard to watch that man and shift to Mr. Bean when he's on screen. So yeah, it's fun. It's really light. It's just really corny and silly, and it's quite stagey in the setting, but it kind of works because of the source material. I didn't enjoy it as much as Zombie Island, which I think is the best Scooby-Doo film, animated or live action, I've seen. But there's Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, released a couple of years later, and this is far superior to that in the same way I think that... here comes my brain fog again. The film Goosebumps, and I know Rupert preferred the sequel. I preferred the first one because it kind of played more on the franchise, and the second one is like an expansion of it, but it kind of seems to get a bit. It's like the jokes have run their course, and it's a bit messy. So I'm the same here, but they're both watchable with kids. But the first one is much more fun. And Matthew Lillard's hair is kind of cool in this. Kind of in the sequel, it's absolutely dreadful. He just looks like Rick Mail. Just like sweaty, slap down hair. So yeah, first one's better. And what tickled me in this as well, right? Sarah Michelle Gellar's pretty. Linda Cardellini, who plays Velma, is going to be on my search engine history soon in a private tab. So yeah, she's gorgeous. So that was interesting. Just think that like Velma's the total screamer.
Dowdy Velma, yeah.
She's not dowdy at all. In one of these films, she gets into a catsuit, total utter burner. So yeah, good. That was fun.
Sorry, I was going to say, didn't they redo a cartoon of this recently that caused a lot of fuss?
Oh yeah, the series. Yeah, I think it was.
I didn't watch it, but
no, I didn't watch it. It got into a lot of. I think a lot of the characters were quite different to what they were in the original. So
yeah,
people didn't like that.
It was anti-woke or pro-woke.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know, like some flipping of
the screenplay for this film, by the way, both these ones is by James Gunn, which I didn't expect. And also, I forgot to say with Paranorman, Rupert, the comment at the end of the film that Casey Affleck's character makes.
Yes,
I can see why it kicked off because people are thick as shit, but it was just like a throwaway, silly line.
Yeah, and it's a good joke. It's a genuinely funny joke because it's like the whole film build up to that punchline, and it's like just that's a good one. Just
deflated. And I will say that when you said that Casey Affleck was cast as a jock, I thought, how is he going to do that with his voice? But it does work because he's got kind of a dullard's voice.
Yeah, he just sounds thick as shit, doesn't he, really, basically? He's perfect in that role.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to watch Scooby-Doo, I think.
Good.
The fact they're written by James Gunn makes it more appealing in a way.
Yeah.
Because he is capable of writing funny stuff.
I guess a lot of just hip. Well, people who went on to be kind of hip, kind of like pop culture auteurs. Must happen quite a lot. Like Joss Whedon co-wrote Toy Story, didn't he? And so they must happen quite a bit. They must start out doing that kind of stuff. And I guess J.J. Abrams probably started out doing similar things. Anyway, have we got time for me to talk through the Maze Runner trilogy?
Yeah, I'd see why not.
The Maze Runner trilogy on Disney Plus. Now, to contextualize these movies, bear in mind they were made a fraction of the cost of most mega-budget sci-fi action movies. The first one cost $34 million. And in fact, for the price of one Marvel blockbuster, you could make all three of these films and have like $50 million and change. So that's a bit of context. First film is just called The Maze Runner, and it's a bit of a world builder. A young man, our boy Dylan Moran, wakes up in an elevator which takes him to...
Dylan Moran or Dylan O'Brien?
Dylan O'Brien, yeah. Who's Dylan Moran?
He's very different. He's an Irish comedian who was in Black Books.
He was in Black Books, wasn't he? Definitely not.
If
that would be
only
a very different film. If he came up in the elevator, it's like, whoa, we're all like really virile teenagers. I'm not sure what you're doing here. It's depressed, alcoholic Irishman. So yes, Dylan Moran. It comes up in an elevator. It takes him to this enormous glade, which is surrounded by impassable walls, and a society of teenagers and young men live there, and all have different roles. And what's quite nice is they don't have any contrived dramas or tensions between them. It's actually pretty peaceful. But then it's the introduction of this Dylan's character, Thomas, that upsets the balance. So every day the wall opens up and it gives access to this huge maze surrounding the glade, and so-called runners go out there and map the place before the gates close at sundown. And if you're caught in the maze, you're going to be gobbled up by these aggressive insect robot hybrids called grievers. And everyone's lost their memory as well. So Thomas arrives and he wants to find a way through the maze and uncover the secret about what's happening there. And this causes various conflicts to emerge in classic Lord of the Flies style, and secrets to be revealed. And it's a kind of young adult movie, I guess. It has the same glum intensity and self-seriousness of something like The Hunger Games. And once again, it's about a dystopian society that exploits young people, and now they want to fight back. Except it isn't quite as laboured and whiny as Hunger Games or Divergent, because it's purely about survival, and the political element is backdropped. And I just want to point out that the evil mega corporation in these movies is literally called Wicked. World Catastrophe Kill Zone Department, actually called Wicked.
Jesus.
The first one's a bit of a self-contained survival action movie where they're just trying to escape. And then the second one's called The Scorched Trials, and basically the survivors of the first one are brought to this facility, and apparently they've been saved from Wicked. But within moments, they've discovered that no, it's the same evil mega corporation, and the baddie here is played by Aidan Gillen, whose accent is taking a world tour, and they can.
He's never played a bad guy before either.
No,
so that's
he hasn't.
exciting.
He's never settled on an accent either, is he? They can move freely around this cutting-edge tech facility using conveniently spacious air ducts, and there are apparently no cameras. So I did appreciate the scene in this where they smash a window to escape, and they take the time to clear the glass shards and lay a coat over the frame. That was a nice touch. They never normally do that in action movies.
13 million into there, right?
Yeah, right. They escape anyway, displaced into a scorched wasteland, and then it's about survival, finding settlements, receiving exposition. Zombies are introduced, aggressive zombies that can run, and there's a great sequence where they must escape these zombies with floral growths, and they're chased up a building leaning at 45 degrees, and there's a classic falling onto a pane of glass peril scene. So that was good fun. Wes Ball, who did all these films, he's a good action director. He can put an imaginative and sustained sequence together without repetition and keep the geography of the scene clear, which is crucial. I'd say the script for this But really, the second two movies, it's quite a blunt object, and the drip feed of information is of incremental revelations is reminiscent of a TV series, but the movies are only covering like 6 hours, so I'm okay with that. It's kind of video gamey storytelling. They stumble from place to place in this wasteland, and wherever they go, they're the main protagonist, and people have been expecting them. Strangely, handy for the plot. And there are numerous lazy transitions where a character will be knocked out or pass out or fall asleep and then wake up in a new set piece. And there are so many coincidences in these films, like scenes where people bump into each other in this endless wasteland and just happen to know each other. And I swear to God, wherever they go, someone knows them and is on hand to fill in more details about their backstory. It's kind of lazy writing, but on the other hand, it is brutally efficient and it does keep everything barreling along. And I got to say, it all kind of starts to come together in the final act of this second movie. And I did find myself kind of invested in these characters. And then Barry Pepper turns up, so thank God. So everything's good by the end of that. And the final action scene in the second one is all in one place, but it's small scale and it portrays multiple action threads coherently. And it kind of made me think Wes Ball probably could have directed an awesome Star Wars movie, actually. So that was nice. So I was kind of getting on board by this point. And then The Death Cure is the final one. And it just continues where the second one leaves off. And the high concept maze conceit is just long gone. And it's just an operatic, apocalyptic action drama by this point. And the opening scene of this one, where the gang are attempting to rescue their friend from a moving train, is like Fury Road level magic. It's so good. You just can't believe it's like a mid-budget movie. And anyway, the idea about this third film is that they're infiltrating these enemy headquarters in the city, in the big chrome city. And literally, they're going to take down the whole building. And the bulk of the movie is, in this kind of like hideously like clean brushed chrome citadel. And Dylan Moran is the epitome of the action hero by this point, because he's just, what I like about him is he constantly looking to act where others just talk and negotiate or give up. Like when he arrives at the facility in the second movie, there's this forbidden doorway just blocked by guards, and he just walks straight towards it and tries his luck, sort of thing. And then it causes a kerfuffle. His friends join him, and suddenly they're all locked up, and then we're into an escape sequence. It's kind of like it pushes the movie along, you know. It gives it a kind of propulsive quality. And what's nice about that propulsive quality is the films never really settle into any kind of tedious sentimentality or moralizing. So, yeah, I'd say it's a rare case of the movies getting progressively better throughout the series, and like actually by the time you get to the third one, you look back at the first one and it's like, well, that didn't really make any sense. Why that was such an elaborate maze scheme. It was a bit more fun when it was just out in the open and they were just actually getting into some proper peril. And I think by the end, you know, the characters have been well developed enough that you actually care. And the events, although ridiculous, take place in such quick succession, you don't stop to acknowledge that everything is relied on coincidence and deus ex machina moments. And it's just good entertainment, really. It sets out precisely what it wants to do, which is like ask some half-decent questions about the moral limits of science whilst crafting some genuinely impressive set pieces, whilst also give me enough to give a shit about who lives and dies. So I was quite impressed by this. I thought it was the best of those young adult movies. Hunger Games got tedious and bloated. Divergent just went, well, it's just shit after a while.
They didn't even get to finish that, did they?
No, did they?
Is 3 it for the Maze
so. Were they
Runners?
going to make a TV movie or something like that to finish it off? Anyway, they never did. So Wes Ball, he went on to make Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which was pretty good as well. And he's now going to make the Legend of Zelda film. So I think I'm quite hopeful about that.
Nice.
So yeah, Maze Runner trilogy is worth a watch, I'd say.
I feel like I stopped after the second one of this because what you've said about the third one rings no bells at all. Does what Wicked are up to make any sense in the end?
Not particularly, because the whole thing of it, the whole thing is that they are basically want these kids so that they can find a cure for the zombie disease or whatever. But it feels like there are much easier ways to go about it than trapping them in a massive, colossal maze. It didn't really quite make sense to me why they went to such lengths. I feel that they could have gone for a bit more of a kind of soft persuasion technique rather than just trapping kids in cages and trying to suck the blood out of them.
Yeah.
You're not really giving Aidan Gillen. Don't send Aidan Gillen in to try and convince them as well, because he just looks creepy.
You're not encouraging them to learn from their mistakes when their mistakes get them eaten alive by robotic insects and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not quite a steep learning curve, that, isn't it?
It's just a bit.
Yeah.
These are the questions you don't ask while you're watching.
Yeah. But I'll probably have to start again from them, because I'm pretty sure I watched the first one. I know I watched the first one, and I think I watched the second one, but I might have fallen asleep or something because it's very fuzzy, and I don't remember the third one at all. So I'll probably have to start again. Is it worth the journey?
I'd say so, because they're quite fast moving. There's nothing, and they retain their quality at least. In fact, I think they just get better towards the end.
Does it wrap itself up nicely as well, or does it just leave itself open? Oh, cool. Yeah.
Just wraps itself up nicely. So done. Trilogy and done.
Is Will Poulter in this?
Yes.
Does he survive? No, don't tell me. That'd be a spoiler.
Well. I suppose you could look at the cast lists, I suppose, of each movie.
I could do that.
But
I won't.
He is in it. And he's good. I think it was the first time I noticed that, because he'd been in British TV before that.
Midsummer?
Son of Rambo was his kind of breakout, wasn't it?
Okay. This was the movie I noticed that he was actually an actor, pretty convincing. But yeah, so recommended.
I watched Death of a Unicorn with him in, where he kind of steals scenes liberally. But I don't want to jump ahead to that because I've got to get through a whole bunch before I watched that recently, and I've got some old shit to get through. Should I talk about Fantastic Four First Steps?
Please do. I watched this as well.
So I watched this at my sister's house, and we were drinking quite a lot and talking throughout, so I didn't really absorb it. So I watched it again, and my impressions of it from the first watch were that it was very, very average. I enjoyed it more the second time, but again, I tuned out in the middle. So it starts off strongly, and then it kind of really takes its foot off the gas in the middle, and then it's got a vaguely fun ending, but it never really kind of regains its energy. But anyway, this is probably Marvel's best attempt to get things back on track post Endgame. It feels like they spent proper time on the production design and honing characters that you can actually like, unlike something like Captain Marvel 2, which felt so just knocked out and cheap and lazy. This at least feels like it has some class to it, and it starts off very strongly. It doesn't bother establishing it takes place in an alternate version of Earth, so it doesn't bother. None of the other heroes are in this story, and it doesn't bother with any of that, and it doesn't bother with their origin story. These guys have already been turned into the Fantastic Four, and it fleetingly mentions how that happened, and it just trucks on with its own sort of fresh slate kind of beginning in a way. So that was quite refreshing, and there's lots of fun scenes where they just kind of establish that these guys are basically the saviors of this version of planet Earth through a sort of fun montage of things, and then a new big super monster turns up, threatening to destroy the planet, which is heralded by the Silver Surfer, and this thing that's going to called Galactus. It's a giant robot-y man with a huge spaceship that churns up planets and turns it into food for him to eat. Is going to now destroy Earth, so they have to kind of figure out how they're going to stop this. So it's a retro futuristic world that's very nicely designed, and it kind of shorthands you into just rooting for this bunch who have now got to try and fend off a giant earth gobbling super monster. So the first half an hour is like really fun and pacey, and then when they kind of basically go out into space, and this is the other thing, they don't have to explain away why they can fly to the other side of the galaxy. This has just been established in this world. He's a super genius who builds all sorts of gadgets, and he's built spaceships that can travel at the speed of light. Bosh. Problem is, though, then they come back to Earth, realizing that they can't really stop him, and he presents the Galactus monster, says, if you give me your child, I'll leave Earth alone. So they're put in an impossible situation, which you'd think would make for an interesting moral dilemma, but of course you know that they're not going to hand over their child, so it's not really much of a dilemma going on here, and they kind of have to rally Earth to try and fend off the big gobbly man. And that's in the sort of fun of setting up this new world. That's kind of part of the problem as well, because it doesn't feel connected to the world as we know it. It's all kind of a fluffy Jetsons kind of version of reality to begin with. So if this did get crushed by a giant, great big space monster, you wouldn't really care because it doesn't feel real. And so ultimately, there's no real stakes, and the bad guy, despite being huge, is a bit of a bore.
He is played by Ralph Ineson.
Yes, and weirdly, they didn't make his voice, despite the fact he's the size of a skyscraper. They didn't really do any effects to his voice, as far as I could tell. They didn't need to.
He just sounds like a skyscraper already.
Yeah, he just growls his dialogue through the whole thing. But yeah, ultimately, I think I just wanted more conflict and a more compelling bad guy. And I think you should probably watch The Incredibles again, because it's kind of did all of this a few years back better. And I think maybe they should just realize that they're not going to top that.
Yeah. The Incredibles out Fantastic Four, the Fantastic Four, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I found, it's very average, I thought. I thought all the snazzy retro future production design was just kind of felt like window dressing to me. Like underneath it was just kind of very ordinary superhero movie with a good cast, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, this is no one's doing their best work in this film, because it all feels extremely manicured and carefully, workshopped. I even like what's the name? He plays Sue Storm, who's usually really good at everything. Vanessa Kirby is just kind of blank. So,
I know what you mean. It's odd. I suppose because what you really need, you don't really get a sense of familial energy from them, because, like you say, it's so carefully. I
always thought she always comes across as a bit stoned and distant anyway. Like even in the other films I've seen, she's got this kind of like wide-eyed, like glassy stare.
Yeah.
And there's like she never like exudes any kind of warmth at all.
She's probably too intense for a film like this, to be honest.
Yeah. And then what's his face? Who's in everything?
Joseph Quinn.
Jesus Christ, names.
Oh, Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, he just sort of phones it in. His character he's supposed to be, a genius, the likes of which Earth has never seen before, but he doesn't seem awfully bright.
Yeah, well, the first time you see him in the film, he's trying to get out of the garage when he's playing driver on the PS1, and he can't manage it, so he's not that clever.
Yeah, well, No one's that clever, though, are they?
No one. You use someone else's save file to get past that, let me tell you. Another 8 megabyte memory card in there.
Yeah. So you've kind of seen it before. I don't. Yeah. It's enjoyable fluff, but it really isn't anything that's going to stay with you forevermore.
Is it the best Fantastic Four film? I know it's not up against much.
Is this the third reboot of the franchise, by the way?
No. They did 2 previous ones, which was a sequel, like an original and a sequel, and this is.
Okay.
Oh, hang on. No, well, of course there was the Roger Corman one. So if you want to count that,
well, there was the one
There's in modern with times.
The Welsh guy in the early 2000s, wasn't it? And Chris Evans.
Yeah.
And then they did Fantastic Four, the one by the Chronicle director, Kid.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that.
I think most people did.
This is like the fourth Fantastic Four.
Fourth time lucky.
And it's the best?
Well, yeah, probably. I mean, it's not. It really isn't many steps above the Johan Gruffer, Chris Evans ones, to be honest. But it's classier. It's better made.
Yeah.
I watched my last one. I watched K-pop Demon Hunters, obviously.
Wow. Okay.
Just to throw it out there, and I quite enjoyed it. It's just a 2-minute. And this is one of those films that I was dashing in and out of the room as it was on. But yeah, it's good. It's quite a simple story. Again, I had to explain death once more to my child. They're gone. It's when you're gone and you're finally free. Dad, can you stop shouting from the shed? Yeah, so I watched this, and it's got the animation style is similar to like the Into the Spider-Verse, where it's like 20 something frames a second or 15, and it's when everything's still, it's okay. Sorry, when everything's in like sort of kinetic movement, it works. But then when this sort of not moving much, the characters is quite jarring. My brain never quite kind of clicked with it. But the story's kind of cool. It's a vast story about these 3 sort of K-pop stars called Huntrix, and they've got this power to this singing keeps demons at bay, and if they release the perfect song, then there'll be this thing called, I think it's called like the Golden Web or something, that will like cover the planet and like banish demons forever. So the Lord of the Demons tries to get obviously a boy band together to do the sort of reverse, and it's pretty sort of simple stuff. And that the 3 girls, one is sort of standoffish and moody. One is like really conflicted because she's half demon, and the other one's really bubbly. And it goes like a lot of similar tropes, but there's a lot of visual gags in this, including a demonic, like a wide-eyed, insane-looking, silent demonic cat that is like constantly like knocking plant pots over and trying to pick them up really awkwardly, which really tickled me. And when they sort of interact with the boy bands and the demon leader of them, there's some quite cool fight scenes, and he's got a really relaxing voice as well. And the music in the film is full on, like dancey K-pop, as the title would suggest. But they're actually quite catchy, and one of them, Soda Pop, has especially been stuck in my head for the last week. So I can see why a lot of people liked it, but it's such a bright, fast-paced, manic film full of a lot of like manic characters that I don't know if I would want to watch it over and over like other kids' films, like Dogman, which I rewatched this week. I actually sat down and watched it for a 3rd time with no problem at all. But I think this is it's too headache-inducing for me. So I'm glad I watched it. Really like it. I'll check a few of the songs in the car kind of thing on a soundtrack for my son. No problem at all. But it's a bit full on to watch multiple times.
Okay.
Yeah, I started because obviously it's got quite a lot of hype, and I gather there is the same creative team behind the Spider-Verse films.
Oh, is it?
To some degree.
Okay.
It's not the same directors, is it? I think, but
same
studio
animation,
or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I thought, right, this is obviously not aimed at me, but I will stick it on and be open-minded. And I got about 5 minutes in, and they were singing, and it made demons get trapped under golden nets, and I was like, no, I'm going to watch something shit instead from the 90s.
Let me just look at my UV ball collection up there. Yeah,
but I will come back. I think I just was not. Yeah, I was like, no, this is not Friday night with a beer in hand for me. But
No.
I'll give it a go.
And that's me done. So I don't know if you want to do a final roundup. Do you want to do one more each to like get the lists down?
I think I think I can save mine for next time if Lazlo wants to.
Okay. Do you want to squeeze in one or two quickies?
I'll do 2 minutes. I've got a full 2 minute trashing of. This is the sort of thing that I would watch instead of like K-pop Demon Hunters. I watched The Wrath of Becky, which is the sequel to Becky that I finally got around to watching. I don't know why, because the first one wasn't very good, and this one is somehow inferior in almost every way. It's like the same film again, but less. It's like Jurassic Park 3, where like it's the same plot beats, but this time the stakes are lower. There's fewer deaths. It's less surprising. It's less convincing. It's less intelligent. It's like the villains are weaker. And bear in mind, like Kevin James was the bad guy in the first one, and somehow they've made the bad guy even weaker in this one, and it's even shorter as well, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But it's 1 hour 24 minutes long. This film, so it's just scraping the edge of feature length. Anyway, so the story is Becky, who after her sort of dad and adoptive-ish family got bumped off or whatever in the first one, she's now under the care of a kindly woman and working in a cafe. That is until she lets her temper get the better of her when some unsavory customers come in and piss her off. And so they then go to her house and kill her carer and steal her dog for reasons I didn't fully understand. So then
be a
Becky,
bit like John Wick.
Yeah, but less. And she then tracks them down to their mansion quite easily, where they turn out to be a white supremacist terrorist cell led by Sean William Scott. And in fairness to him, there's promise early on that he could be quite good, because he's not playing it for laughs. He has that kind of where his team are such a bunch of fucking idiots that his exasperation with them is funny without him being mugging at all. He's kind of played as a straight military hard guy. But the film gives them nothing to do, and she just picks them off one at a time in these very easy, tedious ways. Kind of like the first one, but yeah, just everything's reduced. There's a bit like where she hacks a guy to death with a machete, and he's looking up at her, and she's screaming and wailing in with this machete, and there's blood spraying all over her. And then it cuts back to the person that she's just killed, and he's only got about 4 or 5 marks on him, hardly any blood. And you're like, what? Hang on, where did all that blood come from? It's just sort of lame. It's like you didn't need to show the guy. If you didn't show the guy, I'd have believed she turned him into a paste. But it's just so shonkily put together that it constantly trips itself over. There's a bit where she lays like a man trap thing, and a guy falls into it, and there's a digger behind her. So they're like, okay, that's explaining how she's dug this huge hole. But the digger is right within view of the house. So surely she'd been out there for like an hour digging this hole with a tractor engine running, and no one seems to have noticed.
Diesel engine blasting, yeah.
And even looking at him in the hole, it's got like sloped edges that he could easily just walk out of. But he's like pretending that he's stuck there. And then she gets him somehow. The next scene is he's strapped to a wheelchair with gaffer tape, and she took his gun. So it just ended up in this situation of going, hang on a minute. So he's a military veteran she's a child, and yet he allowed her to tape him to this chair instead of just grabbing the gun off her. And how does she tape him to a chair whilst holding a gun at the same time?
In her
Anyway,
teeth.
it like none of it made sense, and it was so lame. And then at the end, Sean William Scott is like, I'm just going to spoil it because like he eventually, he's always in the house like telling his men to go get her and stop being such idiots, and he eventually leaves the house and he immediately just walks into like a bear trap on his legs trapped, and then he gets killed off. I won't spoil it exactly, but you're waiting for the moment where he finally gets the better of her because she's been so shit, but he doesn't, and you're like, oh, that's it. This is what you made the film all about. Rubbish, absolute rubbish.
Film of the week, then?
Yeah. And why did I do it? Because the first one was rubbish. It's
I remember you
overhyped.
talking about the first one. Was it with a Kevin James in it?
Yeah, with a swastika tattooed on the back of his head.
That's what, triggered my memory.
Have you got? I know you. Do you want to do another 2 minutes, Lazlo? Because I know you've got a few built up.
Okay. The other ones I've got left, I could talk about a bit more. But also, a 2-minute trash drop, which is by Christopher Landon, who also directed a number of other average.
Bit of a
horror
spoiler there.
thriller
Thought about
films.
the film there.
Yeah. He did Freaky and the 2 Happy Death Day films.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And in more recent times had a vague notoriety about him because he nearly directed the next Screen film and then dropped out in the wake of the cast all bailing on him and things.
Oh, yeah.
But he's delivered another entirely serviceable but underwhelming thriller here. So the basic concept is there's a single mum who is a survivor of abuse who has finally decided to get back on the dating wagon and goes on a blind date with a guy that she's met over the internet, and they meet in a sky bar type thing. And then upon arrival, she starts receiving anonymous messages on her phone telling her to follow instructions, otherwise her child and babysitting sister back at home will be killed. So you're wondering the whole time whether the boyfriend is involved, but then the nature of these messages, they're basically airdrop messages, hence the title Drop.
It's going to date quickly.
Yeah. It feels dated whilst you're watching it. It's one of those things where you think, is this even still a thing, or is this already past?
Has anyone ever said drop?
We need you to steal a zip drive.
And the things that pop up on her phone are like got big cartoony images with big text that also looks like 10, 15 years old. Anyway, so what's slightly clever about it is that those airdrop things have a radius. It has to be someone on the same network as you. So she knows the people sending her the messages is someone in the restaurant. She's not allowed to leave the restaurant, of course. So it sort of sets up a paranoia scenario where everyone who touches their phone is immediately a suspect. So that, albeit, tagged on a very of the moment, or maybe even past the moment, technological quirk of what phones do now, is at least half interesting thriller concept. And she's in a sky bar, so it's not like it could be somebody above her or below her. So they've set it up cleverly in that regard. But the setup is so elaborate that you're sitting there thinking, if they've got, like, there's like even a bug on her table, so she's not allowed to move table because they can listen to her no matter what she's doing. So it's come up with it's covered all the angles, but you think you've gone through so much effort to get this woman to do this one job for you. Why didn't you just do the thing? Just do it yourself. There's so many millions of ways that this could have been so much simpler than abusing this poor woman who's clearly not really even equipped to do the job that you're asking her to do. But yeah, so I don't know. I wasn't bored. But it went through the usual kind of one location paranoia plot beats. But it was never once scary or intense It's just a competent, tepid thriller that rides on a very almost dated already kind of tech concept.
Yeah, just
But it
looking
is
at its
short.
film history.
Again.
Doesn't sound unlike Carry On Airport or whatever it was called.
Oh yeah, it's exactly that. It's that same thing, but probably less ambitious than that, to be honest.
His filmography is probably one if I was him, I'd just keep it to myself. So this is my first project. I've
Same
never
with
done
Len
anything.
Wiseman, though. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Underworld trilogy.
You know what? I did watch Die Hard 4 recently, and if you can divorce the fact from your mind that it's a Die Hard film, it's actually kind of all right.
I think
No one will ever say that about the fifth film, though.
no. Well, that's the
No.
thing. But I think because I didn't like Die Hard 4.0 or whatever it's called at the time, but then I saw number 5, and it was one of the worst films I've ever seen. Genuinely, I don't know whether I'd go back to 4 and think, oh yeah, I mean, Timothy Olyphant's here. This isn't just a complete rewrite of John McClane's character, so there's something about it.
Yeah, and it had the intelligence to do things like each action scene in the fourth one. Well, no, this is not true, but like they riffed on confining it, like
Right.
So despite the fact there's like stakes that are affecting the entire US, they still had an action scene in a lift shaft, and that sort of thing. It's like
Right.
it nodded to the Die Hardy formula.
Okay.
But then, hang on a minute, no.
The bit in that film that really made me put my feet in my mouth was when they go to visit Kevin Smith. Oh, that was hard.
That is the worst bit of the film.
Yeah,
for sure.
But it really speeds everything up, doesn't it? It's not just a load of like winky, shitty dialogue for 10 minutes. It brings everything to a grinding halt. So that's the important thing.
And they fucking hate each other, don't they? As well.
Do they?
Yeah, because Kevin Smith directed Bruce Willis in
A Couple of Dicks or whatever that film was called.
What's it? It's called like Cop Out.
That's it.
It's Cop Out. It has to be Cop Out. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, they fucking hated each other. They literally couldn't even talk to each other. So check that one out. Yeah.
Classic. So, George Kennedy to Oscar Isaac. I had a go at this, but I've been ill and I can't think at the moment, so I gave up. But we did have a... Do you want to do yours first? I can't remember the way we do the order. Do I do the... We've got 2 listeners' entries and whatever you 2 gentlemen have.
I'm happy to go first.
Yeah.
I got a 3-stepper. I got George Kennedy was in Hired to Kill with Oliver Reed, who was in Gladiator with Russell Crowe, who was in Robin Hood with Oscar Isaac.
Oh, nice.
Very good.
I should have said Robin Hood, not that one.
Oliver Reed,
not that one, or that one. I know, I had to get Hired to Kill.
I was hoping you would get Hired to Kill, yeah.
Nice. I got a 3-stepper as well. So I had George Kennedy was in Thunderbolt and Lightfoot with Jeff Bridges, who was in The Big Lebowski with John Goodman, who was in Inside Llewyn Davis with Oscar Isaac.
Beautiful. 2 different little paths there. Dave Chod said George Kennedy was in Naked Gun 2.5 with Richard Griffiths, who was in Harry Potter 1 with Warwick Davis, who was in Star Wars Episode 7 with Oscar Isaac. And Max gave us 2. He said George Kennedy is in Naked Gun 2 with Richard Griffiths, who was in more than one Harry Potter film with Donald, Not As Good As My Dad Gleason, who's in Ex Machina with Oscar Isaac. And he said, or a longer but more satisfying one is George is in Naked Gun with Weird Al Yankovic, who's in Weird the Al Yankovic Story with Daniel Radcliffe, who plays Weird Al Yankovic, and he's in Harry Potter with Gleason, who's in Ex Machina with Isaac. So just to throw an extra step in there.
Right.
So it's a draw. It's actually a draw. Everyone's got 3-steppers max. Well, not just 3-steppers max, and Max had a 3 and 4-stepper. So what's the hazy Arkansas for the next episode?
Dylan Moran.
Dylan Moran to Bill Bailey.
Who have we got?
Look at my films.
Joel Edgerton.
He's a bit boring, isn't he? Like,
Is he a bit boring?
Yeah.
He's too boring to even have in our Arkham Star.
Yeah. Michael No, because it'll take us straight to Marvel if we say Michael Fassbender. So I retract that. Yeah.
I mean, we've
Robert
mentioned
Pattinson
Tommy.
is an interesting one because he's done some big.
What about Matthew Lillard?
Okay.
We're Team Lillard, aren't we? Fuck Quentin.
Okay.
So Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, fuck Quentin.
Matthew Lillard, Paul Dano.
So you're going to say Paul Daniels then? I was going to say bloody hell, that's a toughie. I have to link Matthew Lillard to a television special of a deceased British magician. So was it Paul? Is it Dano or Dano?
I don't know.
I think like Dano would be double N.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, so are we just going to go with we're just revolting against Quentin then? So Matthew Lillard to Paul Dano. Yeah, that's fine.
I feel like this would be. They're quite similar. I don't know.
Same
era.
No, Lillard's a bit older, isn't he? Obviously.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm not sure.
I don't think they've been in any.
No, off the top of my head, I'm not sure this is that easy.
Yeah, you're gonna have to dig into your indie and comedy kind of.
Let's do it in honor of these two unfairly maligned actors.
I'm just hoping that someone mentions Dead Man's Curve with Matthew Lillard, because he's in the guy. His name begins with an L. I always forget his name. The one who was the king without a roof in Dungeon Siege 3 with Dolph Lundgren. So Matthew Lillard's in Dead Man's Curve with it.
Sounds like a genuine historical figure.
It's just a list of words that don't mean nothing to me. King without a roof in what dungeon?
Anyway,
Dungeon Siege 3 with I think it was it 3? I'm sure it was whichever one had Dolph Lundgren in it wearing a scarf he didn't take off.
Yeah, the one where he went to bed with women wearing a scarf.
Fully dressed with a coat. He was clearly Baltic and you could see his breath.
He wears a scarf in like all of the oh my god,
Rocky films when he's in the boxing ring.
Bloody hell.
The fucking hell, the films with the Expendables films. Doesn't he always wear like a snood sort of thing in those as well?
I tell you what I like about the Expendables films is that they get better in quality as they go along, with the fourth one really being the best. It's the Die Hard 5, let me tell you that. So Matthew Lillard to Paul Dano, good. And yeah, movies of the week. Mine, I'm going to probably say that it was either Predator Badlands. Paranormal was really, really good. Predator Badlands, I think, or Black Bag. They were all good films. But I'm going to stick with Predator.
I guess I'll have to go with One Battle After Another because it's technically the best film of the lot.
So 2 bits left to do. One thing is Max Solarity's Comedy Corner. Some guy ran up to me in the street and shouted, "What TV show about plane crash survivors on a mysterious island should I buy?" I told him to get lost. I think you both cut out there for a sec.
Yeah, sorry. It's
my internet again.
Your internet's playing up like a second-hand lawnmower, isn't it? And as usual, as Lazlo knows, we end the episode by just talking about the most depressing times that other men have spat at us in the street.
I actually do have a story